They told you that saving makes you rich, that if you cut your desires, hoard your coins, and live quietly, wealth will one day find you. But the truth is far colder. No man ever saved his way to power. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He watched merchants, bankers, and princes rise, not because they stored their gold, but because they moved it. Because money that does not circulate dies like stagnant blood in a dying body. Fortune, he wrote, favors the bold, not the cautious. And in the game of wealth, hesitation is the purest form of poverty. You were raised to worship security, to fear risk, to treat money as something sacred, not as a weapon. And so you clutch it, you hoard it. You measure your worth by what you can protect, not by what you can create. But protection is the instinct of prey. And prey does not get rich, it gets eaten. Look around. Every man afraid to lose what little he has stays small. Every man who spends strategically, who risks, reinvests, and reappears after every loss, grows beyond the reach of ordinary men. The difference is not intelligence, it's perception. The poor see money as something to keep. The powerful see it as something to command. When you spend with purpose, you send a signal to the world, a message that says, I am not afraid to lose, and nothing attracts wealth more than the appearance of fearlessness. People follow confidence, markets obey momentum. The man who moves decisively, who spends like his victory is inevitable, shapes the battlefield of fortune itself. But when you cling to your coins, when you act out of fear, the world reads it as weakness. And weakness repels opportunity. You become invisible to chance, because chance only appears to those willing to meet it halfway. Money, like power, demands circulation. If it sits idle, it rots. If it moves, it multiplies. Understand this saving has its place, but it is not the path. Saving is a pause between attacks, not the attack itself. If you save, let it be only to strike harder. If you wait, let it be only to study where to spend. Because in the end, money that doesn't move doesn't grow. And if you don't control how it moves, someone else will. Let's begin. Every empire begins as a performance. Before a man commands respect, he must convince the world he already deserves it. Machiavelli taught that appearance is more powerful than truth, and nowhere is this truer than in the realm of money. The world does not reward those who have wealth. It rewards those who look like they command it. People trust confidence, not poverty. They invest in symbols, not in potential. And so the wise man learns to use spending as theater, not as waste, but as a weapon. When you display wealth correctly, you shape perception, and perception shapes reality. The merchants of Florence, the nobility of Venice, the magnates of today all understood this. Luxury, visibility, and confidence create belief, and belief opens doors. In the eyes of the world, money follows certainty. The appearance of success attracts the real thing. This is why the man who spends strategically always outruns the one who saves in fear. When you move money, others move toward you. When you invest, expand, and take visible risks, you draw in allies, investors, and opportunities. Because no one follows a cautious man. Caution does not inspire, boldness does. But you must understand the difference between vanity and strategy. Vanity spends for attention, strategy spends for leverage. The Machiavellian mind knows the difference. Every gesture, every purchase, every display serves a purpose. The fine suit that signals credibility, the office that radiates command, the generosity that buys loyalty. Money becomes a language, and every coin spent becomes a word of power. Yet here lies the paradox. If you act rich to impress others, you stay poor. If you act rich to position yourself, you become powerful. Machiavelli would tell you that the prince must appear generous, but only to achieve control. The illusion of abundance buys influence. And influence, once earned, creates the real abundance the illusion promised. This is how wealth compounds, not only through numbers in an account, but through the image that multiplies those numbers. When people see you as capable, they offer opportunities. When they see you as desperate, they withdraw them. Even before you have everything, you must act as if you do, calmly, decisively, without flaunting, without begging. Perception is the first currency of the powerful, but excess destroys. A ruler who spends without control, seeking validation instead of strategy, reveals his own hunger, and hunger is weakness. Spending must serve a higher purpose, reputation, leverage, dominance. It must be done with the calm detachment of a king feeding his image, not the panic of a fool chasing approval. Machiavelli once said that men judge more by the eye than by the hand. Few can see beyond appearances. Use that blindness. Craft your image so skillfully that others mistake it for truth. Let your spending whisper wealth, not scream insecurity. Because when your image becomes stronger than your reality, the world bends your reality to match your image. This is the power of display, to shape belief, to buy attention, to convert illusion into influence, to turn every coin spent into a brick in the empire you are quietly building. Most men never become rich because they worship safety. They do not spend because they fear loss. They do not invest because they fear failure, and they call this caution wisdom. But Machiavelli would call it what it truly is, weakness disguised as virtue. Fear is the silent tax the poor pay for their ignorance. It drains them before they ever lose a coin. The rich understand that loss is not death, it is tuition. Every coin risked teaches. Every failure refines. Every bold expenditure reshapes the field of opportunity. But the man ruled by fear never learns these lessons because he never acts long enough to experience them. Money that is never risked becomes a prison. You think you are protecting it, but in truth, it is protecting you from growth. It keeps you small, obedient, cautious. It whispers lies that sound like logic. Wait until it's safe. Save a little more. Don't draw attention. But wealth is not born in safety. It is forged in discomfort. Look at the men who built empires from dust. They all had one thing in common. They were willing to lose. They spent when others froze. They moved when others waited. They understood that fortune rewards movement, not hesitation. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must be bold in action because fortune, being a woman, yields to those who dare to command her. A man who hesitates loses her forever. The cost of fear is not the money you save, it's the future you never touch. Every time you choose safety, you trade the possibility of power for the illusion of stability, and the world is built to punish that trade. Inflation erodes your savings. Bolder men take the risks you avoided. The gates you feared to enter become fortresses owned by others. Fear is expensive, far more than courage will ever be. Understand this, there is no wealth without movement. There is no progress without exposure. To build anything that lasts, you must learn to walk into uncertainty, carrying conviction. Every decision with potential must carry risk. Every risk avoided is an opportunity destroyed. But not all risk is equal. Machiavelli warned that reckless spending is the mark of fools. The wise risk only when the prize is worthy. A soldier who fights every battle dies early. A strategist chooses where to strike. Spend not from emotion, but from calculation. Ask yourself, will this move create leverage? Will it buy visibility, skill, or access? If it does, it is not an expense, it is investment in disguise. Fear clouds this judgment. It makes every cost look dangerous, every move fatal, and so the fearful man delays until his hesitation becomes habit. He convinces himself that patience is prudence, that waiting is wisdom, but patience without action is paralysis, and paralysis is the slowest death of all. The rich learn to use fear as signal, not as command. They feel it but move anyway. They know that the discomfort that makes most men freeze is the very compass that points toward power. The moment you feel afraid to spend, to act, to leap, that is often the moment that defines your future. Spend there, move there, that is where the treasure lies. Machiavelli would say, "It is better to fail boldly than to survive timidly. The timid live long enough to watch others rule them. The bold may fall, but they fall as kings. Because every failure refines the next strategy, every scar teaches what comfort never could. The cost of fear is invisible until it's too late. It hides in wasted years, missed opportunities, and the slow erosion of potential. The man who spends with courage will lose occasionally, but he will always recover stronger. The man who saves from fear loses everything eventually, and when he does, he will not know how to rebuild. So ask yourself, what has fear already cost you? How many ideas did you kill before they were born? How many opportunities did you watch slip past while you convinced yourself the time wasn't right? The truth is simple. If you are not spending, you are not growing. And if you are not growing, you are decaying. The cost of fear is always paid in silence, one wasted chance at a time. Every fortune begins as a gamble disguised as conviction. The world does not move for the cautious, it bends for the daring. Those who understand this know that risk is not the enemy of wealth, it is its very foundation. Without it, there can be no expansion, no progress, no dominion. Machiavelli knew this truth well. He wrote that fortune loves the bold and despises the man who waits for certainty. But most men mistake gambling for risk. The gambler moves blindly, chasing hope. The strategist moves with intention, guided by study and timing. One acts from emotion, the other from understanding. That difference separates the bankrupt from the powerful. Risk, in its purest form, is currency. It buys what money cannot position: knowledge, reputation, respect. Every empire, every dynasty, every innovation was paid for in risk before it was ever rewarded in gold. The man who learns to manage danger like capital becomes unstoppable because he no longer fears the unknown. He spends risk as others spend coins. Think of the merchant who stakes his wealth on a dangerous voyage. The storm may destroy him, but if he succeeds, he opens new markets and new worlds. The timid merchant who stayed home guarding his coins survives, but remains small, forgettable, trapped in his safety. The difference between them is not intelligence, it is tolerance for uncertainty. To live without risk is to live without expansion, but to risk without calculation is suicide. The art lies in balance. Machiavelli taught that the prince must not be reckless in his courage, but deliberate. His boldness must have structure, his daring must serve a plan. The wise risk-taker does not move without information. He studies the board before making his move, but when he strikes, he does so without hesitation. This is how the rich treat their money. Each risk is measured against influence, not emotion. They do not ask, "Will this make me richer today?" They ask, "Will this give me control tomorrow?" Because control is the ultimate return on investment. There are 3 kinds of risk in the pursuit of wealth. The first is survival risk. Never wager what you cannot rebuild. A wise man risks limbs, never his spine. He plays to fight again. The second is perception risk, the danger of looking foolish or wrong. Most never cross this line. They would rather stay invisible than be mocked for failing. But this is the border between mediocrity and greatness. The third is leverage risk, using what you have to gain what you lack. This is the most dangerous, but also the most rewarding, for it forces growth. You cannot learn the true weight of risk until you feel it press against you. The anxious nights, the uncertainty, the doubt, these are not punishments, they are initiation rites. Every powerful man has paid them. Each time you step into risk, you trade comfort for potential, and potential is the raw material of wealth. The poor think risk is loss. The rich know it is purchase. They buy discomfort to earn strength. They buy uncertainty to buy access. They buy exposure to buy wisdom. Money spent on risk is never wasted if it teaches, strengthens, or opens new ground. Machiavelli understood this psychology. He advised rulers to appear cautious in peace and bold in conflict. The balance must be exact. To risk too often is to burn resources. To risk too little is to fade into irrelevance. The prince who waits for perfect security loses his chance to rule. The moment never arrives, because opportunity does not knock twice. So treat risk as you would currency: scarce, valuable, and powerful when spent correctly. Hoard it and it loses meaning. Spend it recklessly and it destroys you. But invest it wisely and it multiplies everything it touches: respect, allies, wealth, legacy. The rich are not braver than the poor. They are simply more disciplined in their relationship with risk. They have learned to endure the fire without fleeing it. To understand that control over fear is control over fortune. Because fortune does not belong to those who wait for safety. It belongs to those who spend risk like kings. Every empire begins with arithmetic, not of numbers on paper, but of forces in motion: money, influence, loyalty, perception. Machiavelli understood that wealth is not the end of power. It is merely its instrument. The rich do not count coins, they count control. The man who hoards money without learning how to move it becomes a miser, not a ruler. But the man who spends strategically, who uses money to build leverage instead of luxury, begins to understand the mathematics of power. Power obeys laws. The first is that static wealth decays. Money, sitting idle, serves no one. It feeds no reputation, creates no alliances, builds no reach. The moment you stop circulating money, it begins to die. The second law is that every expenditure either buys influence or wastes it. To spend without purpose is to feed parasites. To spend with precision is to plant seeds that grow into armies of opportunity. Look at the powerful through history. Kings used wealth to secure loyalty. Merchants used it to purchase information. Modern elites use it to buy visibility, data, silence. Every coin spent is an investment in control. Control of perception, control of access, control of time. This is the true economy of power. The poor see money as consumption. The powerful see it as calibration. Each move adjusts the balance of influence in their favor. A man who knows this does not waste a single transaction. He understands that every purchase signals hierarchy. The house you choose, the company you keep, the meals you attend, the gifts you give, all of them broadcast your standing in the invisible network of power. Spend carelessly and you lower your rank. Spend intelligently and you rise without speaking. This is why the rich never spend emotionally. They calculate. They study how each expenditure multiplies authority. They know that to look rich is not enough. One must appear inevitable. Money, when used correctly, makes that illusion believable. It allows you to shape the behavior of others without demanding it. A single act of generosity can buy silence. A well-timed loan can create a debtor for life. A gift given publicly binds men through gratitude and fear. Machiavelli taught that a prince must never rely on the goodwill of others, but on the debts they owe him. Money is the easiest way to weave those debts. Every favor extended, every resource offered, creates invisible chains. The one who accepts them rarely notices the shackles tightening until it's too late. That is the genius of financial influence. It feels like help while it enslaves. The mathematics of power also demand discipline. The equation is simple. Excess spending leads to dependence. Dependence leads to compromise, and compromise leads to weakness. The ruler who spends to be liked becomes the servant of those he pays, but the ruler who spends to direct outcomes becomes untouchable. Control requires detachment. Every coin must serve a purpose. Nothing sentimental, nothing impulsive, only strategy. Understand that money moves like water. It flows naturally toward confidence, competence, and control. If you wish to attract it, you must embody all three. The poor repel wealth not because they lack intelligence, but because they project need. They hold on too tightly, revealing scarcity. The rich spend with composure, revealing abundance. Even when they are not secure, they behave as though they are. The world responds accordingly. This is why spending, when done correctly, is an act of power. It declares mastery over fear. It signals that you control resources rather than being controlled by them. It communicates that your wealth is renewable, that your mind can generate more at will, and people, consciously or not, follow that energy. They trust the man who looks unafraid to lose. The mathematics of power do not reward greed, they reward movement. Hoarding is stagnation. Strategic spending is multiplication. The question is not how much you keep, but how effectively you convert money into influence. How many alliances does your money buy? How much perception does it control? How much time does it free? Those who can answer these questions correctly never worry about being poor again. Because in the end, wealth is not about accumulation, it's about velocity. Power belongs to those who can move money faster, smarter, and with greater purpose than anyone else. That is the hidden arithmetic of empires, the calculation that turns gold into gravity. Money that does not move dies. It decays in silence, losing its strength with every moment it sits still. Machiavelli would tell you that wealth behaves like power, it must circulate to remain alive. A ruler who hoards his gold invites rot. A ruler who circulates it with precision feeds loyalty, influence, and momentum. Circulation is the hidden engine behind every dynasty. It is how small fortunes grow into empires, not through saving, but through motion. Every coin you release into the world carries your intent with it. If directed wisely, it returns multiplied. If hoarded in fear, it stagnates. That is the first truth of circulation. What you withhold weakens you. What you direct empowers you. Look at how the powerful operate. They never allow money to rest. It moves constantly into investments, into partnerships, into people. It buys information, buys silence, buys time. It funds the appearance of strength long before strength itself arrives. Circulation is both illusion and substance, an endless loop of motion that convinces the world your resources are infinite. The poor man saves to survive. The rich man spends to expand. The difference lies in direction. The poor man's money circles back to consumption bills, habits, distractions. The rich man's money circles back to control, equity, access, leverage. Both spend, but only one grows. Because the goal of circulation is not luxury, it is expansion. Every dollar must be released with purpose, as if it were a soldier sent to conquer. Machiavelli would remind you that the prince must spend just enough to appear generous, yet never so much that he depends on others. The same law governs money. Spend with intention, never desperation. Your goal is to keep wealth moving through systems that strengthen you. Every loan, every investment, every calculated act of generosity must feed back into your command of the field. The art of circulation is not about excess. It is about rhythm. You must know when to release and when to retain. Spend too quickly and you drain your fortress. Spend too slowly and your name fades from relevance. True mastery lies in balance, giving enough to appear unbounded, but retaining enough to remain sovereign. Those who understand this rhythm can turn even small amounts of money into empires. They use circulation to shape perception. A well-timed act of generosity to the right person can yield tenfold returns. A visible investment can attract unseen allies. A single display of abundance can invite trust from those who control even greater resources. The world believes in momentum. When your money moves, people assume your power grows. They rush to align with it. Circulation is also how the wise disguise weakness. A man who appears to spend confidently is rarely questioned. His motion convinces others of his strength. In politics, in business, in influence, confidence creates gravity. The same is true of wealth. You do not need infinite money to appear powerful, you need continuous motion. The illusion of flow creates the reality of control. The greatest danger is stagnation. When money stops moving, the world forgets you. You become one of the cautious, the invisible, the irrelevant. Machiavelli would warn you that rulers who cease to act invite rebellion. The same principle applies to finance. The moment your wealth stops serving others, others stop serving you. You must learn to use money as a tool of direction. Push it where it amplifies your reach. Pull it back when it serves only vanity. Invest in visibility, not applause. In influence, not indulgence. In structure, not noise. Money that moves through intelligent channels multiplies itself because it gains the attention of other movers, the powerful, the ambitious, the aware, And once your name circulates among them, doors open before you ever knock. Remember this: true wealth is measured not by how much you own, but by how far your influence travels. The rich are not rich because they hold money. They are rich because their money never sleeps. It is always in motion, always compounding, always whispering their name in places they have not yet entered. If you wish to join their ranks, learn this art. Do not cling to your gold like a beggar afraid to lose his last coin. Move it like a general moves his troops, deliberate, precise, unstoppable, because money that circulates is money that commands, and command is the only true wealth worth having. Generosity is one of the oldest disguises of power. Machiavelli warned that rulers must appear generous without ever becoming dependent on generosity itself. True wealth is not measured by how much you give, but by how precisely you give it. The poor give to be liked, the powerful give to gain leverage. The difference is invisible to most, yet it defines the fate of both. Every act of generosity must serve a purpose by loyalty, silence, or access. Anything else is vanity. When you spend to win affection, you become a servant to those you impress. When you spend to shape outcomes, you become their master. History's rulers understood this perfectly. Kings distributed wealth not to the needy, but to the useful. They rewarded loyalty, not pity. They built dependency with gifts so well placed that refusing them was impossible. A prince's generosity was not kindness, it was control disguised as grace. The modern world is no different. Companies donate to polish reputations. Politicians fund causes to buy obedience. The powerful never give without return. They know generosity creates a silent debt. People may not repay it in money, but they repay it in loyalty, attention, and restraint. You must learn this art. Give only when it multiplies your position. Spend in ways that make others indebted, not entitled. A man who helps everyone drains himself. A man who helps selectively becomes indispensable. Generosity without calculation is waste. With calculation, it becomes command. Appear kind. Spend publicly when it strengthens your image. Withdraw quietly when it no longer serves you. Machiavelli would tell you this: better to be feared for your discipline than loved for your foolish charity. Because the world does not truly respect generosity, it respects power that chooses when to show it. And so, spend not to prove you have wealth, but to prove you have control. The illusion of generosity is enough. The appearance of kindness feeds your legend while your wealth remains intact. Generosity is one of the oldest disguises of power. Machiavelli warned that rulers must appear generous without ever becoming dependent on generosity itself. True wealth is not measured by how much you give, but by how precisely you give it. The poor give to be liked, the powerful give to gain leverage. The difference is invisible to most, yet it defines the fate of both. Every act of generosity must serve a purpose by loyalty, silence, or access. Anything else is vanity. When you spend to win affection, you become a servant to those you impress. When you spend to shape outcomes, you become their master. History's rulers understood this perfectly. Kings distributed wealth not to the needy, but to the useful. They rewarded loyalty, not pity. They built dependency with gifts so well placed that refusing them was impossible. A prince's generosity was not kindness, it was control disguised as grace. The modern world is no different. Companies donate to polish reputations. Politicians fund causes to buy obedience. The powerful never give without return. They know generosity creates a silent debt. People may not repay it in money, but they repay it in loyalty, attention, and restraint. You must learn this art. Give only when it multiplies your position. Spend in ways that make others indebted, not entitled. A man who helps everyone drains himself. A man who helps selectively becomes indispensable. Generosity without calculation is waste. With calculation, it becomes command. Appear kind. Spend publicly when it strengthens your image. Withdraw quietly when it no longer serves you. Machiavelli would tell you this: better to be feared for your discipline than loved for your foolish charity. Because the world does not truly respect generosity, It respects power that chooses when to show it. And so, spend not to prove you have wealth, but to prove you have control. The illusion of generosity is enough. The appearance of kindness feeds your legend while your wealth remains intact.